Welcome to Herstory Revisited, where we explore more than you ever wanted to know about things you've never heard of. Together we uncover the hidden threads of the past through the eyes of women, the unsung sheroes, innovators, and peacemakers who shaped the world in ways history failed to acknowledge. Woven through these stories is a golden thread, the evolution of humanity and human consciousness. From pilgrims to pioneers, from forgotten voices to transformative moments, we explore history through the lens of the divine feminine. Because history isn't just his story, it's her story too. Welcome to Herstory Revisited. This is our channel. The Pam and Sophie show. Really, it's what we want to do is create a history channel. And Sophie, many years ago, after spending my entire life studying international relations and history, Sophie said, "What's history anyway? It's his story, and it's always the conqueror or the killer."
Yep.
And it was like, I don't know why that thunderstruck me, but it really did. And it was like, we have had a privileged view to history in the course of 40 years of career. And we met 39 years ago at the Monterey Institute of International Studies. Sophie and I both were looking for a graduate degree in conference interpreting and translation. I didn't make it.
It was hard. It was very hard. But you were destined for business.
No, the point is, we went to an interpreting school, and there were only a couple that were accredited with the State Department and with the European Commission, which was the precursor to the European Union and the Euro and all that. Way before all of that. Yes. There was the Global Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, GATT. And that was in the early 80s when we were going to school. So,
it was yesterday.
Yesterday. And the interesting thing in the 40 years that have unfolded since is that we have spent our careers in software, particularly the operating systems and the human interfacing systems of what became the internet, and particularly multilingual technology, which Absolutely. Is where our specialty was. And we found ourselves in some really interesting boardrooms.
Say the least.
I ran 3 steering committees at Sun Microsystems, and Sophie managed another one for global engineering. And between these, we were able to see a lot of really interesting things and meet a lot of interesting people. So we want to share with you on this channel the journey of, really it's a journey of liberating consciousness, which is what we met about.
Yes, knowledge, consciousness, everything. That's...
What does it mean to be able to not only penetrate the halls of power, but what do you do when you get there? And are these systems opening up? Are they making things more transparent, more open? We spend a lot of our lives in the open source and open standards movement because of some of the jobs that we ended up in. And multilingual technology is computational linguistics. It's about how human interface, input and output to a computer is governed.
Keyboard and all
how a keyboard or a mouse or a finger or any device that you use to navigate the world, even a controller for your gaming, there's an input and an output set of rules. And when you're dealing in multilingual computing, which is where we spent most of our career, you would find yourself in this nexus point in between. And how are you governing standards processes that information can be shared across languages? That's a bigger meta question than just translating or localizing.
Right.
Not just localizing a value proposition, but what it actually means to reach across cultures and create systems that are open and transparent for equal and
that's the part, get everybody around the table, because in the early days English was the only language that kind of was on the internet, because if you look at Chinese
before the internet there were only, when I first started, I started in the computing business in 1983. So in 1983 that was when the personal computer was invented. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, there were, before Microsoft Windows,
yes,
there was DOS. Before DOS, there was an operating system called CP/M. Mm-hmm. And that was the software I was selling when I first started in 1983. So the interesting thing is the evolution of human thought put into a structure.
Right.
And because of our position in languages and in the part of software and structures that were creating multilingual systems, there was a lot of interaction and interface between different countries and their intelligence services, because language is primarily governed by the intelligence services. Right. So it was almost like being a super spy of languages.
Yes. Yes.
That's what we spent our careers on. And meanwhile, we were also meditating and doing very intense interfaith peace conferences.
That's right.
And interfaith analysis. Because if you're studying languages and you study multiple languages and you're studying comparative literature, you will always end up in an interfaith discussion. Because every culture is governed by how they see the world.
That's right.
Worldviews.
Cosmogony, how do you perceive yourself in the greater picture of things? And that determines all of history for all of the nations that may have different worldviews and therefore behave differently.
So we invite you to this view of history from the viewpoint of women, because we were and always have been bridge makers.
Yes.
We came to languages, we came to interfaith discussion, we came to international software discussion, and to the global social architects, the social entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Because we were doing management consulting, we were hanging in these circles of idea people, and we want to share with you some luminaries, unsung sheroes, women that are doing all this quiet, incredible, world-changing work in their corner,
creating systems, not solving a problem, but once they figured out that actually solved the problem, women are like that, how do we systemize it? How do we create a system so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel, and down the road people can just pick it up, like we're standing on the shoulders of those that came before us.
Yes.
Women naturally do that. And so
we want to showcase some of the sheroes on whom shoulders that we have stood, people that we have had the privilege of being able to do world-changing things with.
Absolutely.
And to give you also a history of the unsung heroes of the early internet, because we were right there front and center to a lot of that.
That's right.
In the 80s and 90s and in the pre-internet days. And also because we used to run a steering committee called the Globalization Steering Committee at Sun Microsystems, and they called us the Big Rules Police, because the CEO had given this edict that all products globally will be shipped out global ready, internationalized and localized, and ready for a value proposition in the 123 countries that they did business.
In all the languages that they...
And so language and interface and input and output and the governance of input and output we found ourselves in the engineering group of the Solaris operating environment that dealt with global language enabling.
Right.
And that meant these men primarily had these women that were program managers.
That's right.
Trying to help them communicate with one another.
Right.
As they coordinated 7 different countries of engineering groups.
Right. And solve problems that were specific to these particular markets.
Yes, because if you wanted a worldwide web, you needed a means by which the whole world equally could communicate.
Could have access to it.
To have access.
And interact with it. You didn't want to just a step back because it seems that it's complicated in its implementation, but the problem is very simple. If you take an English keyboard, which has how many keys on it? You said maybe.
Well, there's 256 characters that were originally programmed into computing. And it was very ethnocentric because it was very English and very West Coast English even.
Yeah. But we're talking a small alphabet. That
American English.
In English you could do to Chinese and other languages that have.
But there were no extended
characters. Of characters that you cannot. How do you get those to type on your screen with only those few keys? So it was a huge challenge of scaling, getting everybody that, would have their glyph with, how many keys to get that glyph to show up on your screen so you can print it and send an email and do your documents.
So what she means by a glyph is there's only 26 letters in English.
Yes.
But like in Chinese, Han Chinese, for example, there's 52,000 glyphs.
They're drawings,
little drawings.
Everybody's seen those.
And in the Indian languages are super complex, and Arabic.
We go left to right,
Arabic
right
and
to left.
Hebrew go multi-directional, left to right, right to left.
Yeah.
Chinese goes up and down.
I mean, and
there were not technologies for that to happen in computing.
That's right.
Until this group of engineers amassed. And there were only a few hundred of them.
That's right.
And it was a privilege to work among them.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just them. It was also the social architects that we were working with in our interfaith work and interfaith peace work.
That's right.
And so we want to share with you on this channel that journey.
Yes.
And the sheroes particularly, and the matriarchs of our own families that we discovered along the way, because as older women now, we're going through, okay, our mothers are dying, and Sophie's already lost hers. Mine is in assisted living now. And, there's different movements of your lives. And I kind of feel an honor of my grandmother, who both of my grandmothers were owned by their husbands.
The generation.
I had a sister wife in there of the great grandmothers. They were on the wagon trains.
Yeah.
And Sophie has discovered incredible ancestry of her mother as a POW in World War II, and her grandmother and grandfather, and we have so many things we've discovered of history that we want to tell the women's side of it, so that they be known.
That's right.
As an honor to the grandmothers and the grandmothers that we are and not.
And much more if you know us.
So, more than you ever wanted to know about things you've never heard of.
That's what you're going to get. So, you've been warned.
Welcome to Herstory Revisited. Stay tuned. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow the show, share it with someone else who loves a good story, or leave a review. It helps us to keep this channel going. Thank you for coming by, and until next time, stay curious and keep asking questions. See you soon.